Hi there, good morning from Bali. Starting a little late this morning, sorry, but maybe that's a good thing because maybe some new or different people will get the opportunity to see this. So I've got, my battery is low on my phone, so hopefully I'll be able to get through this. But hi, good morning, Melissa. So this morning's card, it was interesting because last night I had a challenging situation with a family member that I had to really come to some peace about so that I could sleep. So then this morning, of course, I was thinking about that as I pulled my card. And the card I got was this one. It's called Consciousness. And it's this picture of a Buddha. And in the chest area, it's like the cosmos. You can see like all those stars. And then that third eye glowing. Good morning, Jean. So this card is the Ace of Air. And again, in this deck, it's called Consciousness. And so what I did this morning was I wrote down a few notes because there's a number of things we can talk about here on sort of the mundane level, if you will, and also the more cosmic spiritual level. So I made some notes so that I could come at it from a few different angles and then tie it all together. So let me just, I'm going to look at those and see. Okay, so the first thing is bringing conscious awareness to a situation or choice. Okay, so there are those times in life where we have a situation that it's very easy to get caught up in the drama of it. So this pertains to me personally from my situation last night, but also just, we all have these things. It's, often the people closest to us, a family member, but not always. It could be something, it could be work-related, but it's something where we get caught up in the details of the situation. And because we're caught in the details of the situation, it's very hard to bring conscious awareness to the bigger picture, which of course is the whole point of, oh, you can't hear me well. Okay, thank you, Melissa. Let's see. How's that? Does that sound any better? Can you hear me any better now? Because I have my mic is plugged in. Well, here, I'll just go like this. Maybe this helps if I just, okay, good, thank you. Okay, so bringing conscious awareness to a situation, particularly if we're in conflict with if there's something like that's got us personally, emotionally hooked and involved in, yeah, you're feeling the message, yeah, hooked or involved in the personal drama, the personal ego consciousness, the egoic identity gets caught up in something. And so when we make a decision from that place, from being stuck down in the details, so to speak, it's very hard to make a wise choice because we're making it based on being stuck in the details. So consciousness, this card, the Ace of Swords, with this Buddha mind, indicates getting, exactly, the 3D worlds, exactly. When we're caught in the 3D consciousness, we make choices based on survival and based on small mind input. And so the Ace of Swords in this deck really indicates getting to that Buddha mind, getting to the perspective, the conscious awareness of the greater picture before we make a decision. So on the mundane level, this could be as simple as get all the facts, the numbers, and the details before you pull the trigger on something. Like just really basic stuff. Get all the information in before you make a decision, and then don't make the decision emotionally. If it's like, if it's a business decision, say, or financial decision of any kind. Also on the mundane world is don't make relationship decisions when you're emotionally charged. Take a breath, do some meditation, do some prayer. Get yourself into the state of more conscious awareness before you make that decision. Now, there's a caveat here. This is an air card, which means making the decisions only with the mind is not what this is about. This is about bringing conscious awareness, so it's different. It's the expanded mind. So that's one way of interpreting this card. Here's another way that this could really make sense. The Ace of Air is often a new perspective, gaining a new perspective. So it's when we reframe something, when we shift our perspective and see it in a different framework. And so that's another way. So think about how that might apply to your life. Where do you need a new perspective or closer mic, please, Dawn. Thank you. I wonder if this headset is starting to get too old. Maybe that's what it is. Okay. So where do you need to actually just reframe something or gain a new perspective on something? Another way the Ace of Air can be applied in your life. So I'm just throwing these out here because one of them will probably speak to those of you who listen now or later. Another one is it could be a new mental endeavor. So a new project, a new vision, a new, like your mind has got a new creative thing. So for me, for example, this is also applying because yesterday I went and did a sound healing inside of a pyramid here in Ubud, and it was absolutely incredible. So the energy, and this ties in with the air, because the sound would go under the heading of the suit of air, and because sound rides on the airwaves. The sound inside the structure, the sacred geometry structure of a pyramid, the inside of a pyramid creates frequency and vibrations and waves through the body that are very, very healing. So my intention is to go back there a number of times while I'm here, and this will be the first time I really apply sound healing in my life. It's a fresh new ace way of looking at healing that would come under the header of air, the sound healing. So that's another way of looking at the Ace of Air. There's a couple more here. The Buddha mind, in the world but not of it. So now we'll move more into, hi June, welcome. Now we're going to move more into the more spiritual perspective. So I've been talking about some more mundane or practical ways of looking at the Ace of Air, which is called consciousness in this deck. But now we're going to look at the more spiritual perspective, which is truly the Buddha mind. The mind that is in the world but not of it. The mind that has moved from beyond the third dimensional little issues of drama and trauma that our world has been imprisoned in for thousands of years, and shifts to the fifth dimensional conscious awareness of the eternal nature of the self. And so if this doesn't make any sense to you, that's okay. But if it is making some sense, or you're hearing more about this and you want to know more, I want to share a little bit about this. Now, I don't claim to be a Buddha or to have become enlightened, but I definitely am living a life that's different than the 3D consciousness now. So I want to share a little about this with you, because this is where we are going as a planet. We are at the beginning of a huge shift in consciousness on Mother Gaia, on planet Earth. And we're just at the beginning of it now. And this is sort of heralded, you've probably heard about the dawning of the age of Aquarius. We are at the beginning of that, and that is no musical fantasy. This is a reality. We know that the Earth's frequency has up-leveled. And we also know that those people who are not up-leveling their own frequency through shifting their conscious awareness, shifting their consciousness, are having a harder and harder time living on the planet. They're having a hard time living in 3D and clinging to the old way things are done. And that hard there are. Sorry, a call came in, so I had to cancel it. So maybe I froze there for a minute. Conscious awareness. So, sorry, as we begin to shift into a more fifth dimensional consciousness, more of the Buddha mind, being in the world but not of it, life becomes not just easier, but extraordinary. Life becomes beautiful. Life flows to us instead of us chasing after the little crap. And I feel that there will be more that I will talk about that. I mean, if you watch some of my other videos, I certainly touch on it. There's more freedom. There's more liberation. Hi, Doug. Thank you for coming on to this call. There's more freedom. There's more liberation. There's more flow with manifestation. So if we are trying to manifest in the old 3D consciousness, which is I'm going to work really hard and I'm going to just do it through my mind, through visualization, what's going to happen is no, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle. I'm going to work really hard. I'm going to build this business. I'm going to get a raise. I'm going to manifest this dream vacation, whatever it is. And you're doing it just through the three-dimensional, making a vision board, but actually your conscious thoughts are still very negative or still full of lack. It's not going to manifest anymore. You have to make a core shift within your consciousness. And honestly, that comes from purifying your mind of all the old patterns of thought that are negative, fearful, and scarcity-oriented. It comes from purifying your mind of judgment and hate and criticism of others. And it comes from a consistent practice of meditation and prayer and self-love. And it comes from purifying your actual physical body, which means detox, which means up-leveling the frequency of your food and eating healthy, live food. I've heard recently, and I don't know how one could prove this, but I believe it's true, that the frequency of GMO foods is the frequency of death. Eating genetically modified food created in factories and eating animals that are murdered in torturous conditions, living in torturous conditions and then murdered in factories, is the frequency of death. It is the frequency of third-dimensional consciousness. And when you take that into your body, you literally take in that vibration. And all of these things contribute to being stuck in the third dimension. And when you're stuck in the third dimension, you cannot, I know, right? It's very sad. You cannot access what is extraordinary. There are more and more of us living on this planet who are living lives of purpose, freedom, and meaning. Oh, we're not becoming millionaires with yachts and all this other crap of the 3D world. That's not necessary. We are living peaceful, joyful lives in service, in whatever that way is, to the upliftment of others. And we're being supported in doing it. So how do we do it? First of all, we get on mission, and that comes through clearing our consciousness. It comes through clearing our consciousness so we have access, sometimes just in fleeting moments, to that Buddha mind. So we clear our bodies. We clear our emotions. We clear our minds of the old crap thoughts. And then we begin to have access to our true soul purpose. And when we do that, things start to shift. So the Ace of Air is an invitation for you to begin to shift your perspective and to look at your life and say, is this the life I want? Am I going down the road of a life that I actually want? And if not, what needs to shift? Where do I need to purify my mind of thoughts that are unproductive, unconstructive, unkind to myself or others? Where do I need to purify my diet so that I stop contributing to an industry, a food industry that is the frequency of death and causes animals to suffer? Where am I contributing to, or where can I shift myself so that my daily routine becomes more self-nourishing and self-loving to myself? Where can I add value to others and support and lift others in simple, gentle ways that aren't from the old frequency of martyrdom? Because martyrdom serves no one and nothing. Where can I lift as I rise? So these are big questions. But these are the questions of our time, and this is the work of our time, to purify our minds and our hearts of those old third dimensional frequencies and to stop feeding a society based on struggle, scarcity, fear, and death by shifting our perspective, by tuning into meditative practices that nourish our mind, by reframing perspectives on things, by purifying ourselves. So again, as I always say, meditation is a very, very important thing, very important. And if you, in your mind, you go, well, I'm not really good at meditation. Again, I say, you weren't really good at riding a two-wheel bike either when you started that. Meditation isn't just something you do. Meditation is something you develop. And again, I say, there are many beautiful meditations you can listen to for free on YouTube. It's not rocket science, but it is something to do regularly. So what are the ways that you can or are being called to bring a broader consciousness into your life? Where in your life are you being called to reframe something, to gain perspective on something, or to really shift into that Buddha mind, that cosmic perspective on something, so that you no longer get caught up in the mundane 3D limited thinking of scarcity or fear or materialism. So with that, I wish you bright blessings and much love until tomorrow. Mwah.